7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to the program. I'm so glad to have Randy Sutton here in studio. And you're in Nashville. You're out of Las Vegas. So just to set the table for who you are, everybody knows the TV show Cops. And you remain the most featured police officer on Cops.
Yeah, I was on a number of seasons, including, I'm going to date myself now, the first season, 1989 was when I was first featured on that show, and I was featured numerous times afterwards, including fairly recently, they did a special, and they brought some of us old guys back to...
No, they did not. Yeah. Oh, that had to be so cool.
It was. In fact, what they did was they found somebody that I had arrested and who had changed their life. And this guy came onto the show and said, if it weren't for, the police and Randy Sutton, I would have died. I would have fallen, to the drugs that I was doing.
Does that make, and I'm going to go off into a tangent, but does that make all of the crap you got as a police officer worth it when you've got that? I don't know. Is that a rare individual that says, thank you for arresting me because my life was out of control?
It actually happens a lot more often than you would think because, it was what they thought was the worst day of their life, and it actually changed their life. But there's a whole, the police job is still the most noble profession that I know of.
Absolutely.
And you can touch so many people's lives. Right now, just recently, I had lunch with a little girl. Well, she was a little girl when I saved her life when she was a month old. Now she's 28 years old, and her life is fantastic. And she was shot in the face in a drive-by shooting, and I was able to save her life when she was 1 month old. So it's things like that carry with you, and you understand the gravity of the police job because you can literally change lives.
And you are here, and I'm going to get to this, but I want to let people know Randy Sutton is here for an event, Never Forgotten, Never Alone, a night for the Wounded Blue, and so you lead this organization that is you are here for police officers that have been injured in duty.
Injured and disabled in the line of duty, right? The Wounded Blue is the National Assistance and Support Organization for injured and disabled officers, and we are incredibly excited about being here in Nashville at this amazing country music event.
These names, Darryl Worley, everybody knows I love Darryl Worley, one of my favorite country artists. I got to interview him a couple of years ago. It was amazing. You've got Vince Gill, Buddy Jewell. You've just got some incredible names here. And clearly you've tapped into the greatness that is Nashville. And tickets are still available. It is tomorrow night. Talk a little bit about the event.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's at the Nashville Palace, which is a very cool venue.
Oh, we had an event at the Nashville Palace a while ago. It's a great venue.
It is. It's fantastic. And some of the other names, Mandy Barnett, Maggie Baugh, John Berry, Chad Brock, Sean Parr, and Megan Alexander are going to be hosting it. And it is tomorrow night. The doors open at 5:30. And the tickets are $45 at the door, or $40 if you order them today. Mm-hmm. And you can either go to thewoundedblue.org to do that, or you can go to thefamousnashvillepalace.com and get your tickets. But don't wait, because you can't. Where are you going to see Vince Gill, Darryl Worley, Mark Wills for $40 and be able to support an incredible cause?
Well, and if this is a conservative audience, you're from Las Vegas, but this is a very conservative audience, and this is the right place to come for support with the police. We talk about law enforcement a lot on this show. I want to go back to Cops real quick. Mm-hmm. So when you were in that first season, you were the most featured officer. Can you run through how that actually works? Like when Cops started, it was like a huge thing. Yeah. It was like a phenomenon. And did you realize at the time how incredibly, number one, how popular it would be, but also controversial?
No, I didn't. When they first came to Las Vegas Metro Police, I was a patrol officer at the time, and what they did, the way they chose somebody, they would always work swing shift because that's the action shift, and they would go to a sergeant and they say, "Who's the guy that's going to get it in the I'm going to be polite. That's going to get in the stuff.
Yeah.
Where are we going to get? Where's that guy?
They need some action.
That's right. So I was one of those officers chosen, and they got some great stories. And so as a result of getting a whole bunch of great stories during the first season, when they came back 5 or 6 years later, I was a sergeant, and they did it again. Now, a lot of people think that is scripted. It is not. They throw a cameraman and a sound man in your police car, and they just go wherever you go, and they see it all. In fact, one of the camera people was actually shot and killed during the filming of one of the shows.
No kidding.
Yeah, in fact, we have supported cops, and they're a huge supporter of the Wounded Blue.
Sure.
So they've been a huge supporter of us since the beginning, and so that relationship continues. But there is nothing scripted about that. They whatever happens. They film it. One time they actually had to jump in because I was in a real knockdown, drag-out fight, which could have wound up in a very bad situation.
So you say the
camera crew. The camera
no
crew.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And when they approached you about that, I'm just curious. When they approached you about that, were you hesitant to participate in this? I'm assuming you had a choice whether or not you wanted cameras following you while you're on patrol.
No, I didn't, and I'll tell you why. Because I recognized right then, I had already been a cop for 10 years before I went to Las Vegas. I was a cop in Princeton, New Jersey. And then I was bored to death because it was a small town. And I wanted action, so I changed over and went to Vegas.
Okay.
Where I wasn't bored, I can assure you.
Yes.
And what I did recognize is that there has always been a confusion about what the police job really does. And so I recognized the power of what the cops show could do for law enforcement. In fact, it wound up being our best recruiting tool. I wound up having people work for me that saw me on Cops and joined the Las Vegas Police Department because of it.
No kidding.
Absolutely.
Wow. It is a shame how the police are treated these days. I think back when you first started as a police officer in what year?
Well, I'm really going back now. 1976 is when I first became a cop
1970.
in New
I
Jersey.
want to drink what you're drinking because, I mean, I'm not going to say, I don't know how to say this. You don't look that old.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Only my hairdresser knows for sure.
All right, so we got to take a quick break of traffic, and we'll return. Randy Sutton joining us here in studio. Do you ever watch the old Cops that feature you in the first couple of seasons?
Believe it or not, I have never seen my own shows.
What? That is crazy. You've never.
I've seen one or two because I use I'm a national speaker on law enforcement topics.
Oh, you've been on Fox News. You've been on Newsmax. I mean, you've been everywhere.
You ever see the movie Casino?
Yes.
I was in that too.
Were you really?
I played a cop named Randy.
Imagine that.
I know.
So Casino was
Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone.
Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone as well. Did you get to? Were you in a scene? I
had a very good scene with him.
Did you really?
Yeah. In fact, we did an ad lib scene. Robert De Niro and I. It was pretty cool.
Okay. I wish I could play that. Were you nervous? Like, I'm going to go toe to toe with Robert De Niro.
I actually was not. And this is before he went crazy. He was actually a gentleman.
No kidding.
Yeah, and Sharon Stone was not a gentleman, but that's another story. Yes. But yeah, that was cool. And then I did another movie called Fools Rush In with Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek.
Yep, that's the one nobody saw.
That is one nobody saw.
Yes,
but I had a great part. My part was being a police officer delivering Salma Hayek's baby on the bridge at Hoover Dam, so I can legitimately say I was.
Oh wow!
I better not say it.
No, so Vince Gill is going to be at this event tomorrow night. This is a great event. Talk about number one. We're talking about when you started as an officer back in 1976. Fast forward to 2025. We all on this radio station absolutely support the police, but why do you think that there's been such a disrespecting of police from certain segments of our society?
Okay, so there's a book sitting in front of you right now called Rescuing 911, The Fight for America's Safety.
Written by some guy named Lieutenant Randy Sutton.
That's right. And this is actually my fifth book. This is a very important work because it really describes just the question that you just asked me.
Yep.
Is there? It's a very nuanced question, but really what it comes down to is some of the greatest lies that have ever been perpetuated on the American public were foisted upon them, like the great lie of Ferguson, hands up, don't shoot.
I kid you not. So when Randy gave me the book, I opened it up, and the first thing I opened to was page 22, the great lie of Ferguson, hands up, don't shoot, complete and utter BS. But
correct.
The officer's career was destroyed.
He's still in hiding.
Yeah, he's still in hiding. I'm ashamed to say I don't remember his name. I bet you remember his name.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about his name because he wants to stay completely anonymous now.
Yes,
but
that's true.
but here's how the weird situation, the way that our lives have kind of coalesced. The Wounded Blue. Just a month ago, I was visiting a Ferguson police officer who was severely injured in the line of duty. On the anniversary of Michael Brown's death, there was a protest. He was one of the officers at the protest and was attacked. And when he was attacked, he suffered a traumatic brain injury, which has destroyed his life. And the Wounded Blue, I visited him in his rehab facility where they are trying to bring him back to a sense of normalcy. And the Wounded Blue, we have actually given his family $5,000 a month for a year to help them deal with this situation. And we gave him the Order of the Blue Heart Award, which is the Purple Heart for the police. This just happened. So the history of policing, still continues today, and the ramifications of the great lie of Ferguson continue to this day. Because of that, this officer, who's got 2 children, was severely injured in the line of duty because of that great lie.
So there are officers, and of course, obviously, I'm going to Captain Obvious moment there, but I want to define what the Wounded Blue does. So an officer gets injured, line of duty, and then you help to supplement their income for how long? The rest of their lives? How does that work?
We're not generally a funding resource. What we're a peer support group. Every one of the people in my organization is a police officer or was a police officer who has been injured in the line of duty. We have officers who've been shot, stabbed, beaten, run over. I have officers who've been blinded, officers who are in wheelchairs, and yet they continue to serve. They are the heroes of the Wounded Blue, because even though they have been so severely injured, they still give back. Yeah. And the way they do that is they provide peer support for other officers who have been injured, because once you get severely injured in the line of duty, either physically or emotionally and psychologically, you don't know what the future is going to bring. And we help them navigate that horrendous situation.
Well, so if you have a police officer that is injured in the line of duty, a number of things are going on. Number one, you've got the psychological trauma.
Correct.
You've got the physical trauma.
Yes.
And you've got the concern with, how am I going to support my family?
100%. And you would be absolutely shocked at the way many police agencies and cities treat their officers once they become injured. I can tell you horror stories. Right now, we're dealing with an officer who was shot with an AR-15. She is hit in the hip, and the round bounced into her abdomen and just did terrible damage to her. She can't go back to work, right? Because she was so severely injured. She just told me yesterday she's getting terminated from the department with no pension because she can't go back to work full duty. Well, of course she can't go back to work full duty. She was shot, and yet they are going to throw her away.
How can the police departments justify that?
This is shocking. This is the greatest unknown secret of law enforcement, and that is, depending on where you are, if you're in New York City and you get severely injured in the line of duty, you're going to be okay. They're going to give you a good pension. You're going to get medical. But if you are in, say, Oklahoma, we have an officer who was shot in the head in Oklahoma. I have this on video. Shot in the head by cartel gunmen. He's severely injured. This is during a pursuit. Then after he got hit with an AR-15 round in the forehead, he, of course, went unconscious, and then he crashed in a tree. He had a wife, 3 children. They didn't pay his medical bills for a year and a half. He lost his house. He lost his car. And it wasn't until a news station did an expose on it that suddenly they paid his bills. But at the end of the day, they threw him away. They didn't even give him the proper medical treatment. And we fight this every single day. This is what the Wounded Blue does.
That is horrifying. We criticize the left for disrespecting police, but oh my Lord. I mean, you've got to call out the police agencies who don't protect or take care of their own after they get injured in the line of duty.
And you know what? That makes me a very unpopular person sometimes.
I bet it does. But if you expose it, then perhaps they'll think twice about, as you say, throwing away their officers that are injured trying to protect the people.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking what we see. And that's why this event is so important.
Yeah.
Because these country artists, by the way, who have supported the Wounded Blue for years in different ways, this is where the people and the police have to come together.
Yeah.
And these country artists that are all volunteering their time for this event, this is where we need the people to come and say, you know what, we're going to support law enforcement. I'm going to come to this concert. I'm going to see some of my favorite country stars, and then we're going to donate to the Wounded Blue. We're actually kicking off what we're calling our 9/11 campaign. We're asking people across America to donate $9.11 a month.
Okay.
All right. That's not even a coffee and a donut. And of course, I'm using that for a particular reason.
Yes.
But $9.11 a month to the Wounded Blue. And we get enough people to do that. We can help so many more people because we are only limited by the resources that we have.
Yeah.
And that's where, unfortunately, and by the way, everybody in my organization is a volunteer except we have one paid employee. I don't take a salary. I live on my pension. Okay. And by the way, what I do now is more important than anything I've ever done. And I was disabled in the line of duty. I had a stroke in my police car right on the Las Vegas Boulevard, and my own department threw me away.
Wow.
They just said, we're not paying your medical bills and we're not giving you your benefits.
And they
after
wonder
24 years.
And they wonder, I know why we have shortages of police officers, but certainly this doesn't help.
It doesn't help. And listen, I was a cop for 34 years when this happened, and I never thought this could possibly actually take place. And yet, so this is one of the things that is we are so passionate about helping our brothers and sisters. Any officers who are listening to this right now, if you're struggling because of a physical injury or because of post-traumatic stress, reach out to us at thewoundedblue.org. That's who we are. That's where we never forgotten, never alone is a meaningful phrase for us.
Oh, absolutely. And so the event is tomorrow night. Never forgotten, never alone. A night for the Wounded Blue. Our guest is Randy Sutton. And again, you've got some of the greatest names in country music. Vince Gill, obviously, Daryl Worley. You've got Mark Wills, and you've got Buddy Jewell, and a whole bunch of folks. And hosted by my old buddy Sean Parr.
Yeah.
So, who's great. I love Sean Parr as well. So, good luck. TheWoundedBlue.org is the website. People can get tickets there. It is tomorrow night at the Nashville Palace.
And doors open at 5:30. We're going to have some great opening acts. And by the way, there's going to be a surprise or two that we weren't allowed to put their names, but they're going to be showing up too. So there's going to be some surprises that show up. And also, we're going to be honoring 3 officers who have been severely injured in the line of duty, and two Louisville officers and a Chattanooga officer.
Okay. This is going to be a great event.
It's going to be a great event. I hope you're going to be there.
I'm going to try. TheWoundedBlue.org is the website, TheWoundedBlue.org. And will you check in with me tomorrow and let me know how ticket sales are going?
I sure will.
And we can, we can see if we can drive the ticket sales because this is such a great event. Randy, thank you very much for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Joan, I'm not going to give the time.
That's a good idea, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not going to give the time.
Way off clock.
Let's just move right along. But listen, that was a great, I loved talking to
terrific
our
conversation.
guest, Randy Sutton. And we're going to isolate that. I know. Sam is laughing at me. How soon do I forget the guy's name?
What's the guy's name?
Randy Sutton is his name. And you know what? He looks like a Randy Sutton. He looks like a bad A. And that is going to be a great event tomorrow night. We're going to podcast that interview that I just did. with him. And again, that foundation, the woundedblue.org, if you want to check that out. And I'll talk about that again here in a little bit. Right now, though, we've got Matthew Hurtt on the phone. Matthew, how are you? It's a big day today in your neck of the woods of Virginia.
Dan, I can't believe I put pants on for this radio interview today, but I am super excited. I've been up since about 2 a.m. your time, and we're rocking and rolling out here in Arlington, deep blue Arlington, Virginia. How are you?
Well, you know, at least one of us is wearing pants. Totally kidding. So the joke is that we were supposed to have Matthew on Zoom today, but unfortunately we were unable to do it because of some technical issues here in the studio. But next time we will have you on Zoom. Did you, by the way, speaking of which, did you see, this is going to be a squirrel moment. There was a guy who was in a court of law, and I think I want to say it was a cop or something, but he wasn't wearing any pants. It was on Zoom, and he didn't realize that they would be able to see that he wasn't wearing pants. He thought the Zoom camera would just capture, from the waist up. Turns out the judge called him out and said, "You don't have any pants on." So just know that.
This happened in Detroit. Look, you got to make sure that your camera's pointed in the right direction. And this is something. Senator Rand Paul is one of my favorite senators in Washington, and he is not well known for his dress ability. And he will often do, late night TV in a suit top and like cargo shorts, which is awful, but he's great in the Senate. But yeah, make sure that your camera is pointing, just on your face. And I've got a great live hit studio, and I was so ready for this, Dan. But it is exciting because Republicans are pumped up in Arlington and across Northern Virginia. The polls are open for about another 10 hours, and the statewide races, 3 statewide races, and then in a place like Arlington, where I'm the chairman, we can barely get candidates to run as Republicans at the local level. I know that the Davidson County Republican Party has that issue, and probably out in Memphis. But we've got 4 out of 5 down ballot races with reasonable, well-adjusted candidates, and there's a lot of energy here. And I think that people are really wising up to what I said this earlier on Fox News. We could go from common sense to California in one election, and I think that voters are seeing that today.
So I don't know, Joan, if you caught what just happened. But Matthew wanted to make sure that I knew that I was not the biggest interview of his day. He's been on Fox News. He's also, I believe, been on Newsmax today. So I appreciate you slumming it with us here on Nashville's morning news. What about the governor's race in Virginia? Winsome Sears versus Spanberger? What's going on?
Yeah. I've said this a couple of times in conversations with you, and by the way, this is my favorite Cumulus station. I think that there is, when you look at the list of likely voters, the universe of likely voters, I just don't think we're hitting all of the likely voters in the polls. I do think this is going to be closer. It is going to be tough for Winsome Earl Sears to pull it out tonight. I think Jason Miyares, our candidate for Attorney General, is going to do a lot better, and I honestly think the poll I saw yesterday in the lieutenant governor's race between a woman who's running a Joe Biden from the basement campaign and John Reed, our Republican candidate, who has raised almost no money, he was 2 points up. And so I don't like making electoral predictions because I hate being wrong. But all 3 of these races, I think, are going to be within a handful of points. And that means it's so important for our voters to get out. And as the chairman of the most blue county in Virginia, I've done, and my committee has done so much work. We've mailed 65,000 pieces of mail, 75,000 text messages, thousands of doors, and the energy and enthusiasm is high. I don't like making predictions, but I will predict on this program today that this statewide ticket will do better in Arlington than Glenn Youngkin did in 2021. He got about 21,500 votes, and we're shooting for about 25,000 in Arlington, which would be a big deal.
How big of a deal? Real quick, I gotta take a look at traffic. We got a lot of stuff going on in traffic, so I'm going to check traffic real quick. But then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about continue to talk about what's going on in Virginia. But then you're going to get a lot of people out there that are going to say, "Oh, well, the Democrats won this, the Democrats won that." So that is an indicator as to what is going to happen in the midterm elections. Matthew, let's say the Democrats win some races, which obviously they're going to. You win some, you lose some. So is this really much of an indicator at all as far as what's going to happen in the midterm elections?
Not at all, and this is something that grinds my gears because what's going to happen in California is the voters are going to vote to allow Governor Newsom to redraw the lines. Of course, a handful of Republican states are already doing it. What will happen, though, is we currently have a 5 Republican, 6 Democrat seat split among the congressional districts in Virginia, and if Democrats go back with a majority in the House of Delegates and a Governor, Abigail Spanberger, we're looking at something closer to 10 Democrats to 1. They have completely upended the redistricting process, which voters by an overwhelming majority a few years ago handed off to a nonpartisan redistricting commission. And so of all the states that are doing this redistricting shell game, California is doing it. I think it's an okay process because that's what they allow. All the other Republican states that are doing it, it's an okay process, but it is really crossing the Rubicon in Virginia, and I think that could put the House in a precarious position in the midterm elections. I don't think that any of these races today play out or contribute to a national narrative for leftists or progressives or Democrats, but I do think that what happens in Virginia may very well have an outcome in 1 or 2 key races that decide the majority in the House next year.
So in New York, you've got Mamdani, Cuomo, Sliwa. Now, I've been looking at the polling. I'm sure you have as well. I don't have them in front of me, but if you add up the Cuomo-Sliwa vote, it is higher than the Mamdani vote. So is Curtis Sliwa going to have to get an escort out of New York if Mamdani ends up winning? Because if Sliwa, there's a lot of pressure for him to drop out as mayor of New York, and that Sliwa vote theoretically would go to Cuomo, and Cuomo would have then perhaps beaten Mamdani. I mean, so there are a lot of people that are saying Sliwa will be responsible for the destruction of New York. Is that fair?
You're not wrong, Dan. I hate this game because we do live in a 2-party, first-past-the-post, winner-take-all system. And so if there is a third candidate, an independent in some instances, or in this case in New York City, a Republican, it makes it mathematically more difficult to defeat somebody like a Mamdani. But Sliwa has decades of community activism experience. I really struggle. I know President Trump and Elon Musk endorsed Cuomo, but many of your listeners will remember that Cuomo is directly responsible for the deaths of countless thousands of grandmas and grandpas when he locked down New York in the pandemic. It is a tough decision. If you're a Republican and you're planning to vote for Sliwa, it is hard for you to switch tracks and vote for somebody that you blamed, rightfully so, for so many failures of the pandemic. I cannot imagine what it would feel like to be a Republican in New York City today.
You think Mamdani is going to destroy New York? Do you think, they've got, I mean, I don't know the politics of New York, but I'm assuming in New York, you've got a sort of city council kind of a thing that they have to deal with, and obviously you got a state legislature. Kathy Hochul has said, no, I'm not going to allow him I'm not going to raise taxes to help Mamdani do what he wants to do. I mean, how much destruction can one man do if he doesn't have the support of the governor of that state? I don't know about the New York City Council, but I'm sure that's also part of the equation.
A lot of the promises he has made will rely heavily on what happens in Albany, the state capital, or in Washington, D.C. A lot of the money that flows through New York City comes from the state or comes from the federal government. Now imagine somebody like Donald Trump in the White House refusing to provide federal grants and money for building projects, for road projects, for construction projects in a place like New York City. That would augment the decline of New York City under a socialist mayor. And I would say, if I had to bet or I had to guess, I would say probably 60 to 70% of large amounts of money come from either the state capital appropriations process or from D.C. And so it would be very difficult for Mamdani to keep his promises because somebody like President Trump or somebody like the governor of New York would hold back those resources. I think that is the silver lining for New Yorkers, but that said, I think the city council is going to rubber stamp most of the things that he wants to do.
Wow. All right, real quick, Nancy Pelosi said this on CNN.
He's just a vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth, but anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives.
Well, so first of all, I don't know what she means by abolishing the House of Representatives. Have I missed something? Was there like a great abolishment of the House of Representatives? That's number one. Number two, strong words for Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump is the worst thing on the face of the earth. Matthew, don't worry about drug cartels, child molesters, murderers, Hitler, Joseph Stalin. Don't worry. It's Donald Trump that is the worst thing on the face of the earth.
Dan, you and I both know Nancy Pelosi is a lizard person, and surprise news after the election, I think she's going to retire. So she's on the way out. She's going to burn everything down, and this is absolutely outrageous. No reasonable person outside of San Francisco and maybe inside the Beltway, the No Kings people who live among me, believe this, and it is such a backwards view. Nancy Pelosi, since she's been in Congress, has enriched herself by tens of millions of dollars. She had ruled the House of Representatives with an iron fist a couple of times. The subversion of democracy she would know something about because she's been front and center for a long time in Washington. This is absolutely just outrageous.
One of the things, and it's part of the headlines this morning, I covered this a little bit earlier, where they do show that you got a lot of people out there that would say that that political violence is acceptable under certain conditions, I suppose. They don't get into the details on it. But, I mean, remember when the Democrats and that poll came out about assassination culture and the Democrats? Now you have, a decent number of people within the Democrat Party that also believe that political violence is okay. Then you've got, of course, Hakeem Jeffries talked about how Donald Trump and the Republicans, the pedophile protection ring is what they called Donald Trump and the Republicans like Mike Johnson. I mean, this vitriol and this rhetoric is just getting worse and worse.
It is very dangerous, and the data doesn't lie. This is not a both sides issue. This is almost wholly a Democrat issue. Majority, or at least a plurality of Democrats think it is okay for political violence against their political adversaries. We're seeing it play out in the Virginia election, in the Attorney General's race with Jay Jones text messages. This is not a bug. It is a feature of Democratic Party politics, and it is very dangerous. I hope. When I was chairman of the Young Republicans in Arlington, I had a great relationship with the chairman of the Young Democrats. We did joint fundraising events, joint community service events, and I don't think this was only 10 years ago. I don't think we are anywhere close to that, and I think it is 100% our friends in the Democrat Party are willing to dehumanize, demonize, call Republicans Nazis, call Donald Trump Hitler, every name in the book, and that leads to political violence, and it is very worrisome for a chairman in a county where 79% of my neighbors vote for the Democrats.
All right. Well, you know what? Fingers crossed for what's going on in not only Virginia, but the referendum in California, New Jersey. By the way, somebody sent me a text on the super text line saying that they've had some bomb threats in New Jersey. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know I haven't heard anything about that, and I wouldn't want to speculate. I do know there's a tremendous opportunity for Chitterelli to cross the finish line tonight. All
right. Matthew Hurtt, always great to have you on, and we will talk to you again very soon. Maybe if you have time, we'll have you back tomorrow to do some, post-game analysis with you, and we'll try to do it on Zoom. And you can put your pants on once again.